Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucore Automotive. Today is part 3 of Steve and his stunning 1968 Chevelle Malibu. It came to us with a couple of things on the to-do list. Figure out an oil leak, figure out a couple of other things, all of which we've resolved. However, it's back under the engine. We've got to go to figure out the last little bits. And as you'll see in this video, it didn't go all according to plan, but it's a good video. There's a lot of work that's going to be done, but it's a really good video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Also, happy birthday, Steve. Just found out that it was your birthday yesterday, so here you go. Your video, your final video on your Malibu is up. Enjoy it. Everybody say happy birthday to Steve. Yeah, this was a great car. I love this car. Steve loves this car even more now that he has it back. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Here we go. Take it away, Rich.
I'm trying to get this thing up to operating temperature and it keeps stalling on me when it comes down to idle. And it seems like it's overfueling, like maybe the needle is stuck, or maybe there's some trash in the needle and seats, or the float is sunk. I would think if the float was sunk it would cause a bigger problem, but like right now I'll have to open the throttle up, wide open throttle, and get it to clear out, and then it'll idle. This idle screw was out like 3 turns, and this one was out like 2 maybe. So we need to reset our idle screws, but as soon as it shuts off, I have fuel dripping into the throttle out of the portals. So we have a carburetor problem. So we're gonna have to address that. Not staying open. Yeah, it's got fuel dripping out of the I guess we need to change our float level. Idle set screws 2 turns out, sorry, turn and a half out into the baseline. It's already idling at a lower speed, but that's good. We definitely have an overfueling problem. Well, you definitely know you have an overfueling problem when you turn the idle set screws all the way in and it still runs. That's not good. Yeah, we're fueling through the ventures, so we must have a float problem or a blockage. And it continues dripping after it's off, so we definitely have a float issue. So I have to go take care of a customer's car off-site. I'm going to let this thing cool down, and it's looking like we're going to pull the carburetor back off this thing. Or at least the carburetor top plate. Maybe I'll get away with just doing that. I wasn't expecting to be doing carburetor work today on this one. I was hoping to make it go away. But it is what it is. You have to work on what you got to work on. So, we've made quite a bit of headway on this 68 Malibu. Really super clean car. This thing's amazing. And the pressure kicked on. It is what it is. I wasn't expecting to have this car in here for carburetor work, but we'll address that because it needs done. It's overfueling. I actually have the idle set screws turned all the way in, and it idles, which that's less than optimal. So a piece of trash is probably stuck in the needle and seat. I'm going to open it up and see what I find. And hopefully that's it, and pop it back together, move down the line. Initial timing, oddly enough, looks advanced at low RPM, but that might be because the mechanical secondaries are already engaged because it was idling at 1100 RPM, which is not normal. So it looks retarded at low speed and above 3000 RPM, it looks advanced. So I don't know, let's get the carburetor working right, and we will figure out the timing after we get the car regulating fuel correctly. Well, I have a couple of options here, and I think I'm just gonna put the other carburetor back on this car. He apparently put this carburetor on here. It's a rebuilt Rock Auto unit. But I'm going to actually stick his old unit on here because he has a unit that he actually dyno tuned this engine with. So I'm going to put that on here and set it up and see if it works better, because that's a fuel line and a couple of connectors. And then we'll probably play with this carburetor on the bench later. But in the meantime, let's get this thing apart.
You know that
What's that?
wheel and tire balancing video we did forever ago?
Yeah.
It got us a customer.
No way. That was such a horrible
Driving from all the way across the city.
That was such a horrible video too.
He's had 3 different shops try to balance his tires.
Yeah.
You guys do tire balancing? I was like, nope, sorry, we don't do that. He's like, really? It's like, no, we do that. Well, what can I do for you? What are we working on? It's a 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander on stock tires.
And nobody can get.
And nobody can balance them.
Well, that's awkward.
That's what I was like. What? He's like, I took it to another shop out here by me, and not only could they not balance them, but they had like 80 pounds in one and 70 pounds in the other, 35 pounds in this one, and I was like, okay. And then he's like, I took it to Discount Tire, and they couldn't get the damn things to balance, and they forgot to put in 2 of my centric rings, so I was driving down the road, and the car was like, yeah, that doesn't take long to realize that. He's like, so, to hell with it. I'm just going to give you guys a try. I've been watching this shit online, and you seem like you know what you're doing. Like, well, wheels and tires is not really like our normal purview right here, but sure.
That's usually not really all that difficult, but
That's what
we'll give it a shot.
like, wow, okay.
That's funny. Well, cool. We'll make $100 for our video. Put that towards the YouTube profits. Don't drop your washer down the hole. Goodness gracious, somebody hammered on that guy a couple times. Wow. Oh, these only go on one way. If you put them on the wrong way, you will have a vacuum leak. Kick those off to the side. I have to educate them as to why they put dual throttle springs on these. Well, that might have been the way this was from the factory, because he's done quite a few things that are factory correct on this car. Let's tighten down our carb, and we'll plug off our vacuum and see what our timing's at. about 36 degrees total mechanical and base timing. Not giving me what I thought I was going to see. Look at this distributor and see what's going on in there. Not seeing my mechanical advance come in, so we're going to take a peek at that. Sets are pretty good for the moment. My exhaust doesn't smell like raw fuel. I'm in 2 turns out. I'm going to leave it there for now until we figure out why the distributor's not doing its function. And then we'll go from there. Sounds good. It's a little rowdy. So, got the carburetor issue resolved. We're not over-fueling anymore. Ooh, Derek's playing with fire back there. That's good. I was trying to time this thing, and I'm not seeing my mechanical advance go where I want to see it. So, we'll change our springs on our Dizzy. Steve was nice enough to bring me a recurve kit. We're going to take this thing apart and see what we can see. So the heavy springs, which are what we have on here, or had on here, is only going to give 4 degrees of timing advance at 2,500 RPM and 8 degrees advance at 3,000 RPM, which explains why I wasn't seeing my advance. The light springs at 1,500 RPM, you'll have 10 degrees of advance, and you'll be all in at 4,000 RPM at 30 with this kit. With the medium springs, it'll be 6 degrees at 2,000. And 30 at 6,000 RPM. Now this is a pretty well built 383 from what I understand. He was saying do 1 light spring and 1 medium spring, which will probably change that a little bit. I'm going to try the medium springs first, but honestly we're probably going to end up with the light springs in this. Because this motor is pretty peppy, and the light springs, it'll be 10 degrees advance at 1,500 and 30 degrees at 4,000. I don't know what he's actually going to rev this thing to. It's a split plane intake, so it's probably only going to rev at 5,500, 6,000 RPM anyway. I don't know. I think we might set it up with the light springs just to see how far it goes. We'll go from there. Now this kit does have a bushing in it that you need to disassemble this distributor and replace it. So I don't know if that's been done when the Pertronics kit was installed. So I'm going to pull the distributor out and put the bushing in or verify that it has the correct bushing in it for this kit, because then we'll know what kind of numbers we should expect from it. Pulling the distributor is pretty simple. Disconnect your 2 wires from your electronics in this case. For those points, it would just be 1. Remember where they go, because they got to go back on the same place. That's my red wire on the right. And my black wire on the left. Trying to drop these tiny little nuts. And then take a reference point of where your rotor is at, so that you can put it back in the same spot. Looks like you're on that. There we go. Come on up out of there, buddy. So this is a points distributor that he brought in, but we want to use this electronic Petronics one. Not a bad distributor. Guy looks like it's been modified and welded on, so that's questionable. Let's take this other one apart and see if the advance plate is unmodified. Awkward. How many distributors does it take to make one? That explains why we weren't getting our timing. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this hole here has been closed off. You can see that it was welded. So that's our problem. Normally there would be a plastic bushing on here. There isn't. We're going to put our new brass bushing on that guy right there. And we're going to use this entire shaft assembly because it looks to be in better shape. There we go. Now I have the right bushing. That is a press fit.
What's that?
And that will give us the advance we want. So now the limit bushing is installed. Limit your bushing to where it needs to go. That is definitely more than what the other one was. Well, that's good news. At least we found the problem. So we're going to use the new gear, the new shaft, and the new advance plate. see these springs and those springs are really, really big. So not only did we have a problem with the range of motion for our Advance, but we also have really heavy springs on it. These are what were on it. Those are your heavy and medium springs, and these are your light springs. I don't know if it's light springs on it. Those light springs will start advancing at 1500 and be all in by 4000. I'm good with that. That'll make this thing really peppy. So, where'd I put my housing at? So this one you can see the points plate has been replaced with the Petronics kit. So then this guy has magnets in it, which I just laid down on a metal table, which is why I couldn't pick it up. And each one of these magnets is your signal to fire your magnetic pickup. Pickup goes on the bottom of your plate. I'm going to use the weights out of the kit. They look the same, but who knows? This thing goes zinging across the room. And I gotta fix that airline. It's so annoying. Problem is I need a 16-foot step ladder to get up there. Minimal slop. I like it. Got a nice amount of advance. Excellent. Let's put this thing back in the car. So we had multiple problems for our ignition timing. Will it come? So the distributor with the points didn't have the bushing on it, but the advance plate had the correct hole. The one that was in here, the advance plate had been welded shut to compensate for the bushing.
Okay.
So it wasn't going to advance enough. And yeah, he brought me a Petronics, like a whole distributor.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested to fix this one to see if I'm thinking correctly on the distributor setup. So I have it set up with the weights and springs that he gave me in the recurve kit. I can tune it to be 10 degrees advanced at like 1500 RPM and fully advanced at 4000 RPM. And with this being a 383, I want that ignition to come in as fast as possible. Because this engine's going to rev. Because it's a 383 small block, it's going to rev super
like
fast.
$6 grand, I think.
I figured $6 grand because it's a dual plane intake. I figured it's not going to go much past 6 anyway. So being all in at 4, because this thing with it had bigger springs in it than what comes in this kit, and the biggest springs are all in at 6,000 RPM, where the other ones wouldn't be. So I don't know. I mean, they were huge springs on the other ones. All right. Oh, now that needs a little more, I think. What'd you do, Richard?
Well, good job. Now it doesn't run at all.
What'd you do, Richard? Sometimes you make it worse before you make it better. Can you crank it for me?
Yeah, I can get in this thing.
What's wrong? Your arms too short?
Yeah. Yes, they are. Just like all the rest of me.
It's like all the rest of me.
I don't have ungangly long arms. Alright, ready?
Yeah. Alright, stop. What the heck did I do? What'd you do, Richard?
I can take care of it.
Your brake hose is here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good.
Crank it again for me. Sparking.
Huh?
I said it's sparking. Crank again. Well, put your foot to the floor and crank it. And hold it open. It's flooded. It's a flood problem. Okay, you can get it far.
Leave it on the floor.
Well, yeah. Once it starts, stop. Once it starts, let up. Well, this one put up a pretty good fight. The distributor advance limit had been modified in the distributor that was in this. So I put unmodified parts in with known limits and known springs. I now have 12 degrees of timing at base, and my mechanical comes in. My mechanical advance puts me up to like 30. and I'm pretty happy with that. You could go a little more aggressive with it, but we're gonna just leave it there for now. Got to make sure my carburetor's doing everything it needs to do. But we overcame our overfueling problem. We overcame our ignition timing problem. We've overcome some of our oil leaks. I'm going to go drive it and then we'll double check it for oil leaks again. We may still have some oil leaks to deal with. But I think I'm going to cut this one off here. We've made a lot of progress. We started with ring and pinion and a few other things and ended up with some engine tuning and some important little bits inside that distributor that have to be correct or it won't do what it's supposed to do. At any rate, thanks for watching. Click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Guys, have a great day, and as always, stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.